this video, I'm going to be answering the question I get more than any other. James, what happens to the parts in your PC builds once you've finished them and uploaded the video? Do you take them apart and hoard them, putting them in the backgrounds of your video to make your audience jealous? Do I sell them online and make as much money as I possibly can? Or am I just absolutely loaded with the ability to afford whatever on earth I want at whatever scalp prices hardware is currently selling for? In this video, I'm going to be answering all of those questions super honestly and telling you how we work with brands, where we get our components from, and just how we got to this position in the first place. Let's do this. To be honest with you, I've never been a huge fan of when other channels in the PC hardware space put all of their expensive GPU and other components in the background of videos, a bit like we've done today. Even discarding the GPU crisis, having loads and loads of expensive products that some of your audience can buy and some can't, has always just felt a bit insensitive to me. Now, I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone in particular, but it explains why you never really see the hardware we use appear again in the background of future videos. We choose to not use them as set pieces for that reason. But I'm not going to stand here and admit that we don't acquire quite a lot of PC hardware doing what we do. And if I was a viewer, I'd probably be wondering, James, what actually happens with all of it? Now, there's a few different explanations and it all depends where the hardware comes from. Let me explain. On the channel, we produce 2 or 3 PC build guides a week. Between our YouTube channel and our website, we get through an average of about 30 to 40 components every single week. Now, inherently what that means is we need a lot of hardware on hand to go in and configure a great build on the fly. Ordering things in for every build would just take way too long and mean that we couldn't get the videos and the web content out for you guys that we do. Now, that's not to say that we store absolutely everything and anything, and very often we will go out and buy hardware from various retailers that we need for videos. But it is true that we do in fact reuse a lot of the hardware on the channel. Take the MSI B550 Tomahawk for example, a motherboard we actually paid for a couple of years ago and used more than 30 times on the channel. If that motherboard cost $200, that's an average price per video of about $20. Is that right? No, I can't do maths. 200 divided by 30. $6.50. So on average, that board cost us $6.50 to use per video, making it actually a very profitable purchase for us. We more than got our money back there when then compared to video ad revenue, sponsors, and all that jazz. I'd say that we currently purchase around 20% of the hardware that we buy into the office, and we'll often pay for all the accessories in our builds, the likes of pop figures, cable extensions, RGB strips, all ourselves. But it is true that a lot of the hardware we receive comes from the brands themselves. Now, I've been working with certain brands in the tech space since I was quite literally just a child. Back as a teenager, I made these videos over on YouTube, and brands eventually started to reach out. As you can probably imagine, I'm not in the financial position where I can go out and pick up MSI's RTX 3090 Ti. At like $2,500, I have not got those funds. And if we produce a PC build for $1,500 on the channel, I can guarantee you we don't make that much money back in ad revenue. In fact, quite the opposite. I try not to look at those stats because it does get alarming. Now, if you don't know, this is a very familiar practice not only in the tech YouTube space, but also in the tech media space. Magazines, publications, and websites have been doing it for years, but you might now also be thinking, that doesn't seem very fair. How can I recommend the best possible products if I'm receiving them for free? Isn't that basically being paid for that piece of content? Sort of, but not really. Once again, let me explain. We're actually in the lucky position where we have contacts at some of the biggest GPU makers out there. Meaning if MSI send us their 3090 Ti and we just don't think it's worth recommending, we just won't recommend it. And we'll pick up one from GeekaWhat or Asus instead. We're also not prevented by any of these brands from publishing content that is criticism of these products. AMD have sent us CPUs and GPUs in the past, but we've gone on record saying their 6500 XT is frankly an awful card that no one should buy. It's why we haven't done a single build video with it here on the channel. From a brand point of view, our opinions and recommendations are only really very valuable because we tell the truth, and we'll only recommend things you should actually buy. You guys would very quickly work out that if we said yes to every brand on the planet who ever wanted something featuring, it just wouldn't end well. You'd be watching a video and you'd be more than smart enough to realise the stuff was complete crap. But how then do we end up in a position where we've got all of this hardware. And is it not a little bit selfish that we're hoarding it all for ourselves? When it comes to things that we've bought, obviously we've bought them and they're ours forever. And what we will do is we'll sell them eventually. Any RTX 3000 series cards I've bought will go and sell just before 4000 series drops, when we know roughly what the NDAs or when the release embargoes are going to be. Oftentimes, like you guys, we only find out on the day, and that's when I panic over to eBay and try and get rid of it before the prices drop. But when it comes to branded products, how does that work? If MSI aren't paying us to look at their 3090 Ti, this is actually something we have to send back in a couple of weeks and we'll probably never see again. No more Cyberpunk at 8K for me. Then, can we sell those? If they've sent it out for free and we haven't got to give it back, how does that work? Now, the answer to that is no. We are not allowed to sell the products that brands lend us or give us for free. And if we have to give those products back or can never sell them, they're basically never worth anything to us unless we absolutely need them for videos. And what that means is that we're not likely to be swayed by a brand sending out a free product. In fact, quite the opposite. We have a massive storage problem where fundamentally we just can't afford or keep the ability to store absolutely everything. And it also hugely depends on the product type. Brands are not going to give us a $2,000 graphics card for us to mention it in 10 seconds of one video. That's just frankly not how it works. But equally, something like a CPU cooler, a brand is never likely to ask for back, as during a build process the radiator might get damaged. The thermal paste that comes pre-installed will no longer be there, making it difficult for other media outlets to actually test. Plus, where you've got lots of different moving parts and lots of different installation equipment, these can easily get lost or misplaced, making it a massive job here in the office to try and stay as organised as possible. We do try and keep very clear lines though between brands and our content. Our videos are never outwardly scripted by a brand or never based around strict talking points unless the video is specifically marked as sponsored. Something we've done in a few cases recently with an Alienware video and a campaign we're working on with Zotac, which is actually very exciting and you should go and take a look at. But there is one more place where the hardware in our office ends up, and that's with employees. Now, for those of you who don't know, we're actually a team of 5 or 6 individuals here at the GeekaWhat channel. Between our website, our YouTube channel, and some other work we do in our own region for freelance and corporate video production, we've got quite the operation going on. And our editors, my goodness, do they need high-end hardware, or at least that's what they keep telling me. The 3090 Ti that's in this box will only be in this box for a matter of hours before one of the editors scurries over, picks it out and takes it for their own PC. Exactly. And even if we have to send this hardware back and take it out of their PCs, by the time that comes around, someone's lent us something new, allowing us to really test all the hardware that we get on the job. Before I wrap things up and I've hopefully answered your guys' questions, there's a few important points I need to clarify. If a brand ever blacklisted us and decided not to work with us, we do have the capacity and the funds through some of our other partnerships to pick up any products we feel the need to cover. Just because we're reliant on products landing in the office for our revenue doesn't mean we will ever talk nicely about a bad product for the sake of affecting that brand's relationship. It's something we're simply not concerned with. And if a brand doesn't want to work with us, that's honestly fine. We're not going to scream, shout and dance about it like some others will. That's their choice. And equally, it's our choice if we don't want to work with certain brands. We've got an in-house team here who will always run all the products we receive through vigorous testing to make sure that if they're not very good, we know about it. And likewise, if they're great, we do too. A great way of looking at this is with some of our launch GPU coverage. When a new card comes out, like the RTX 3050 did a few months ago, we were one of the first videos out there, and our consensus and data with that card was the same as many of the other media publications who we'd had no communication with. When a new product comes out, we don't even know who else has got it in the scenario whereby it comes before launch, making our results completely independent of everyone else, of any brand or anything like that. It's also a massive reason that we've partnered with different retailers over the years. eBuyer are our UK retail partner, and they've got amazing deals on the latest tech. But they're also fantastic to have on board with the channel, because if there's anything that we want to feature or need to look at, they can help us by supplying it. And to them, they don't really care what we say about various products, because they basically sell them all anyway. If we say that a particular Nvidia or AMD GPU isn't very good, they're going to sell the other AMD or Nvidia counterpart that competes with it. So in that instance, they probably win either way, and it makes them a superb match for us, whereby we look for partners who aren't looking to control what we say or what we do. And that's where we stand on that one. If you found this video insightful, entertaining, enjoyable, all of the above, make sure to get subscribed. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.